Welcome back. It's me, Luca, and I have a new background now, potentially. We might keep this, we may not. I have a desk now in my bedroom because of the coronavirus has put us all on home office. So now I actually need a home office setup. But it's been week 2. This is what my hand looks like now. The small circle is actually for my bunnies and not for my fall. The big circle is what that scrape on my hand looks like now. And my elbow is that, and my knee basically looks like my elbow. So slowly healing. And just a quick update, I went over to my polyclinica. They just passed me on to the next doctor that spoke English. So I have to go back in 2 weeks, which would be then that I would discuss my surgical options anyways. So stick around, but I won't be... for my next video, I'll be in this again. And after that, I should be free. Anyways, so we're going to be talking about the differences between Czech and Canadian healthcare. And mainly it's the differences because the only similarity is that they are free public health cares. Really, that's it. The cost is different. Everything basically about it is different. So let's get into this. I've got 9 actual differences, and my last one is a hack. So stick around for that because you're going to want to know how to hack the system in the Czech Republic because it's pretty cool. Czech healthcare is paid for. It comes off your taxes. You will see the name of your healthcare company because they have I believe it's 4 different public health cares. So you have VisaPay, which is the main one and the best one. And then you have 3 other ones that I don't particularly care about because VisaPay is the one to be on. That's the one that's mainly accepted by everyone and covers majority of the things that you have. It's the one that's linked to the rest of Europe. I don't know if the other ones are, if they look the same, but VisaPay is the one to get. It might just be 2. I'm not 100% sure, but they also have tons of private health cares as well. So it really just depends who you have. But VisaPay is the one to go for, which is just VZP. Jeez, that's weird to say. That one will actually come off your off of your taxes, out of your paycheck. And as a Czech resident and citizen, you have to pay for it. Once you become a permanent resident, they will make you pay for VisaPay. You have to. If you don't have a job, you still have to pay. You have to be covered no matter what. You do not get an option. You cannot not be covered. You have to pay for VisaPay. How much? I'm not sure, especially if you don't have an income. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, you still have to pay whatever amount it is for you to be covered. In Canada, if you don't have a job, you don't pay for it. And to be honest, I'm not sure how Canadians pay for it. Because, again, if you don't work, you're not really paying for it. And and on our pay slips, it will literally just say federal taxes, provincial taxes, EI, which is employment insurance. It's if you lose your job, you're still going to be covered, and CPP, which is your Canadian pension plan. None of those is health insurance. So I have a feeling it comes out of your provincial taxes, but then Alberta and the territories don't have a provincial tax. So again, not sure how it works. It might even be in the sales taxes and not even coming off your paycheck. I literally do not know how Canadians end up paying. And that's how I see it as a real free healthcare. Because you don't see how you're paying for it. So how are you really paying for it? Whereas in the Czech Republic, you will actually see that you are paying for it. Which then brings me to, again, here, you have to have it, no matter what. And in Canada, you can only get it if you have an address and a SIN number. Homeless people most likely don't have insurance. And doctors and whatnot, they can't treat them. In the United States, if someone comes in dying, you get treated. But in Canada, if you don't have health care, you're not going to be treated. In the Czech Republic, you will be treated. You'll end up leaving with a bill. And like say they couldn't find your insurance or you have a private insurance, you're going to have to bring the bill to them later. But they will make you pay first and then you have to go and get reimbursed later, or you just pay then. Because I had to do that when I only had my private insurance. And like out here, I've done 4 ambulance rides. I've had 2 IVs. I've had 2 MRIs, 1 CT scan, 1 EEG. I've been to like 3 eye doctors, been to the surgery department in my polyclinica so many times I can't even count, and I've had like general anesthesia from them twice. I've had a lot of stuff out here. A lot. I've gotten this whole brace system here. I've gotten a neck brace from a head injury. Like, I've had, I've had 1 ultrasound and like 10 plus x-rays. US, you are about to get jealous. If anyone from the US is watching, just you wait. You're going to be so jealous. Czech healthcare covers ambulance rides. The full amount. And whatever they provide you in there. Full amount. And they're about 5,000 crowns per ride if they don't administer anything to you. And then they can be up to 15,000 crowns if there's a doctor inside. And I'll put the USD version of that as well. And that's fully covered by Visa Pay, which is why I'm saying it's the best one, because it's the only one that I really know. And I don't want to try the other ones because I love Visa Pay so much. Canada does not cover ambulances. They're straightforward. But in Canada, they're their own private business. So you pay them and anything that they administer to you when you're in them. In Manitoba, ambulance rides are about $500 to $600, provided they don't supply you with anything in there. That's kind of like the base charge. Well, really, let's go $400 to $600. It just depends who you get. And if they do end up giving you something, then it might be closer to the 600 because they might just give you like a neck brace or whatever to keep your head still during the ride and whatnot, and they'll charge you for that. And then in Saskatchewan, they're closer to like $300 to $400 per ride, provided they do not give you anything inside the ambulance. Czech hospitals have separate buildings for every department, mainly because they're so old. They just built a new building. So like you could literally go to like neurology's in building 3 and emergency's building 10, and you got to walk from 10 to 3 or 3 to 10. Or then like oncology might be in building 5 and orthopedics is in building 1. And so, you have to walk around the entire hospital. Whereas in Canada, mainly each section is just on a different floor. And so you can easily just hop in an elevator and just follow a color on the floor and find what department you're looking for instead of walking around outside trying to find where you need to go next. But that's mainly just because the Czech hospitals are so old. I know some of their newer ones aren't really like that. Oh yeah, so in Canada, we also divide our hospitals sections between emergency and non-emergency. Some people will think that it's an emergency and it's really not. And so what Canada does is that if someone's an actual emergency, they move them into another room. And so whenever you go into a Canadian hospital and if you see a bunch of people just sitting and waiting, those are the people that they deemed are non-emergencies. And so if they make you sit there, they also deem you not to be an emergency. And you are going to wait for hours because they're going to be dealing with the actual emergencies, with the ones with potential broken bones or broken bones, half dead. They'll be dealing with them on a separate side. Or at least that's how it worked in Saskatoon. They actually fully separated them. In Manitoba, we kind of have a non-emergency and an emergency section. And then they deem you with a bracelet as to how of emergency you actually are. And then they have a sign that tells you. So then you realize, or at least they hope you realize, like, hey, you have no business being here. But that's how they do it in Winnipeg, at least at the Children's Hospital. They would give you a bracelet, and that would determine how of an emergency you actually are. And then you wait. If you're a non-emergency, they're going to just leave you there for as long as they want to. Here in the Czech Republic, you kind of just go to go. And like they do have emergency sections where like an ambulance will bring you to, but you don't generally go as a walk-in. And if you do go as a walk-in, be prepared to wait. Because if you stick around for number 10, you'll see how to get around that. But if you walk into a hospital, into any of their sections, you are going to wait. Like, go to a polyclinica. Just go to a polyclinica. At least then it's first come, first served basis, and you will be seen. But in a hospital, you are going to wait if they don't deem you to be an emergency. And even if you are an emergency and you walked in, you're still going to be a wait. I walked in with a head injury. I waited 4 hours before even being passed to the neurology department. And all they did give me before was an x-ray. No brace, nothing. They had me walking around, moving my head, answering questions, yes and no like this. Because I walked in and I didn't take an ambulance. Czech healthcare will give you results right away and do tests right away. Whereas in Canada, you would literally get your blood test and then expect to have a call back from your doctor in a week if it is something that's actually serious. And if it's not serious, well, then they say something like, no news is good news. So if they don't call you, then you're fine. But if they do call you, then there's a problem. But in the Czech Republic, they'll take your blood test and they can have the results in an hour. You can like have an abdominal ultrasound and get your results from the tech. Whereas in Canada, you'll have an abdominal ultrasound and it'll go to a radiologist and then they'll come back to you like a week later with a report. And even then, you don't even get the report yourself. It just goes to your doctor, and then the no news good is good news again. And in the Czech Republic, you can go from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor in the same day. Whereas in Canada, if you need to go to a specialist, you're most likely going to be on a waiting list. Because we don't have a place where everyone's located in the same spot unless it's a hospital. And the only time you're going to see them is in an actual emergency situation, where you would be wheeled there by a nurse. Whereas here, I've literally gone to the surgery department to be passed to the neurology department, to be passed to the eye doctor department, to go back to the neurologist, to go back to the surgery department, all in one day, and then to go to a hospital to see another eye doctor. And that all happened in the same day. Whereas if this was in Canada, I would have been waiting with each of them to get on certain waiting lists and then just wait for my appointment, even if it was needed now. The hospital would have just taken me to all of them instead, if it was really necessary. Another thing about the Czech healthcare is that it will cover dental checkups and emergency surgeries if needed for your teeth. They don't cover things like cleaning, or they probably don't really cover fillings or anything like that either, but they'll let you get a free checkup to make sure you don't have cavities and whatnot wrong with your teeth. Whereas in Canada, anything to do with your teeth is not covered at all. And it might, maybe, be covered for children up to a certain age, but definitely not for adults, like at all. Your teeth, nothing. And that also goes for eye doctors as well. So in Canada, they'll cover certain checkups for children up to about the age of 18. And it's basically just like eye exams, just to make sure your eyes are okay. Won't cover glasses, won't cover anything else that's extra that's needed after. Just get you the free test for your kid. And then from 18 on, you're going to have to pay for everything. Whereas in the Czech Republic, I literally got so many eye tests done that it was fine. They're not going to cover things like glasses either, but they will cover like a bunch of different tests for your eyes instead of just the basic one of like sit 5 feet away from the wall and read things and go through colors and whatnot. They covered so much more, where I actually had like an eye covered and like I'd have to pick out lights and click a button whenever I saw a light, and do that for both of my eyes, and then sit in front of a screen while it flashes different patterns at me and just watch it. And I don't interact with it at all. It's just like this, just watching a bunch of patterns flash. That was all covered. Editing Vita here, realized I missed one thing. So in the Czech Republic, prescription drugs and other things that are prescribed to you that are not over-the-counter medications where you can just walk into a pharmacy and find what you're looking for without talking to a pharmacist. Those are all covered by your public insurance, whereas in Canada, they are not. You have to have your own separate insurance to cover any prescribed medications of any kind, though those will also generally cover birth control, whereas out here, birth control is not covered by your public insurance, and you do have to get a prescription from a doctor, but it doesn't count as one of the medications that counts as a prescribed drug. So it'll cover some things, like it covered my torso brace, it covered my neck brace, it has covered a few other medications for me, but rarely doctors will generally just prescribe you something that you can just easily access at any Lacarna or pharmacy. Okay, and my little hack for you guys, if you're ever in the Czech Republic and you have an insurance of some kind that covers ambulances, if it's remotely serious and you would need to go to a hospital for it, just take an ambulance. You'll be seen as a priority, and if you aren't a Czech speaker, at least one of the paramedics spoke English. And you literally just tell them everything, and then they relay it all back to the doctor for you. So in case your doctor doesn't speak English, they know what's happened. Because like when this happened the first time, the doctor and the nurse did not speak English at all. I would have not have been able to tell them what happened at all. And so luckily, I got an ambulance for that. If it's something that's remotely serious and you need to go to a hospital for it, just call an ambulance. You'll be treated and seen as soon as possible because the paramedic does all the work for you. They go in, relay the information to the doctor, bring you to where you're supposed to go from there, bring you back to the doctor, and then the doctor will handle you from there. Unless they speak English, and then they'll just pass you back to the doctor, and then the doctor will tell you where to go, and then you just come back. And then they'll pull you in again when you're needed. Like, they make the situation so much easier if you are a foreigner and you injure yourself. And then you're also not waiting, because I went in with my coach after falling from 3 meters off the ground because I was standing on another girl, and I'm already 1.5 meters, and she's just a little bit taller than me. So we're about 3 meters up in the air. I fell all the way from there, hit my head on the ground, threw up a bit, and she drove me to the hospital instead of having an ambulance. And I waited 4 hours before even getting an MRI, before being seen by a neurologist, before being put into a neck brace. And even then, I had to run around to actually find my neck brace the next day because I didn't end up getting one at all. And I might have had a mild concussion, and I wouldn't have been told that I did at all that day. So just take an ambulance if it is necessary. It'll make your life so much easier and everything so much faster. But yeah, that's mainly the differences between our health cares. And if I find more, I might make a part 2. And basically, there's not much similarities besides the fact that they're both free. See you next time. Bye.